This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated, and it's blog Zalma on Insurance. Today we explain why it's not nice to defraud your elderly mother, and even entering guilty pleas to a small number of crimes still ends up with the court assessing consecutive sentences against the criminal fraudster who must spend 86 months in state prison. Jon Settlemire appealed the judgment of sentence imposing consecutive sentences, only to find an appeals court with no mercy. When Marion County Grand Jury returned a 45-count indictment charging Settlemire with a variety of felony-level crimes, Settlemire eventually entered a plea of not guilty to the indictment and then, after many pretrial proceedings, entered a negotiated plea of guilty to 5 of the 45 crimes. In State of Ohio v. Jon Settlemire, a June 5, 2023 decision of the Court of Appeals of Ohio, Settlemire pled guilty to a charge of theft and violation, a 4th-degree felony, a charge of forgery, a 5th-degree felony, a charge of forgery in violation of another statute, a 5th-degree felony, and a charge of theft, a 4th-degree felony, and amended to charge of forgery, a 3rd-degree felony. In exchange for the guilty plea, the prosecution dismissed the remaining 40 counts of the indictment. On April 28, 2022, a sentencing hearing was held. At that time, the trial court imposed a sentence and ordered that all counts be served consecutively for an aggregate sentence of 86 months in prison. In his sole assignment of error, Settlemire argued that the trial court erred in ordering that the sentences in his case be served consecutively. Specifically, Settlemire asserted that the aggregate sentence here is disproportionate to the crimes that he was convicted of, and that the aggregate sentence was overly severe when compared to the criminal conduct of which he was convicted. If multiple prison terms are imposed on an offender for convictions of multiple offenses, the trial court may require the offender to serve the prison term consecutively if the court finds that the consecutive service is necessary to protect the public from future crime, or to punish the offender, and the consecutive sentences are not disproportionate to the seriousness of the offender's conduct and to the danger the offender poses to the public. In State v. Gwynn, a 2022 decision of the Ohio Supreme Court, that court noted that defendants may appeal consecutive sentences and that a statute states that an appellate court may increase, reduce, or otherwise modify a sentence, or that it may vacate the sentence and remand the case for resentencing when it clearly and convincingly finds that the record does not support the sentencing court's decision. The Court of Appeals' review of Settlemire's sentences reflected that the trial court made the requisite consecutive sentence findings pursuant to the statute at the sentencing hearing and incorporated those findings into the judgment and entry of sentence. The trial court noted, when imposing sentence, and as confirmed by the record, Settlemire's multiple crimes of theft and forgery resulted in a loss of nearly $50,000 to the various victims, and the multiple victims in the case suffered serious economic harm. Settlemire's relationship with the victims facilitated the offenses, with one of those victims being Settlemire's elderly mother. Finally, as the trial court noted, Settlemire was initially charged with 45 felony counts in this case, and a sentencing court may consider charges that have been dismissed or reduced pursuant to a plea agreement. The number of consecutive sentences and the aggregate sentence here were not, at least according to the Court of Appeal, disproportionate or overly severe when compared to the criminal conduct of which Settlemire was found guilty, having found no error prejudicial to the defendant appellant in the particulars assigned and argued. The judgment of the Marion County Court of Common Pleas was affirmed. In my opinion, bad people who are convicted of multiple crimes deserve punishment. No fraud perpetrator is more deserving of punishment than a man who defrauds his elderly mother and relatives. The Ohio court properly sentenced Settlemire to spend the next 86 months in an Ohio state prison. This video was adopted from my blog, Zelma on Insurance, which is available free to anyone who clicks on the URL zelma.com/blog. You can subscribe to the blog and receive access to the more than 4,550 blog posts. You can also subscribe to the videos on YouTube or on rumble.com and receive access to the more than 700 videos. And you can tell your friends and neighbors and your colleagues about these blog posts so that they too can subscribe. And if you found these blogs to be of interest to you, please click on the like button or the thumbs up button on Rumble. And please also consider subscribing for a very small fee to my Locals community or my Substack publications. Thank you for your attention.